And welcome back as we continue our journey through the book of Acts. Today we finish chapter 9. And we have been reading about the life of Saul so far and the dramatic conversion and transformation that had taken place. And now Saul is cast out, and yet the church still bears fruit and is multiplied. The work of God continues. And so as we read verses 32 through 43, we're going to see how God is now going to use Peter specifically. And so we're going to read a portion of scripture, then pull out a timeless truth. So starting in verse 32. Now, as Peter went here and there among them, he came down also to the saints who lived in Lydda. There he found a man named Aeneas, bedridden for 8 years, who was paralyzed. And Peter said to him, Aeneas, Jesus Christ heals you. Rise and make your bed. And immediately he rose. And all the residents of Lydda and Sharon saw him, and they turned to the Lord. Now, there was in Joppa a disciple named Tabitha, which translated means Dorcas. She was full of good works and acts of charity. In those days she became ill and died, and when they had washed her, they laid her in an upper room. Since Lydda was near Joppa, the disciples, hearing that Peter was there, sent 2 men to him, urging him, please come to us without delay. So Peter rose and went with them. And when he arrived, they took him to the upper room. All the widows stood beside him, weeping and showing tunics and other garments that Dorcas made while she was with them. But Peter put them all aside and knelt down and prayed. And turning to the body, he said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes. And when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and raised her up. Then calling the saints and widows, he presented her alive. And it became known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And he stayed in Joppa for many days with one Simon, a tanner. In this passage, Luke records 2 powerful resurrections that reveal the reach of God's grace. We meet 2 very different individuals. First, a man who was bedridden for 8 years, possibly unsaved, unable to serve, unable to worship, even to participate in community life. The other person was a woman, known for her generosity and good works. Her death moved the community so deeply that widows mourned while holding the garments that she had lovingly made for them, perhaps even as they mourned their own losses. Now, despite their differences, both were touched by the same grace. Peter could have judged who was worthy of a miracle, yet rather than operate from personal bias, he responded to what God was doing. He extended the same love and power to both the devoted believer and the one who may have not yet known the Lord. Peter's willingness to look past the social, the spiritual, even the moral distinctions show us something profound. The grace of God is not limited to our comfort or even our agreement. Like Peter, we are called to be blind to the divisions that keep us from loving our neighbors well. We can hold our convictions without letting them become barriers. Jesus himself ministered to those trapped in sin, tradition, and even pride, never deterred by disagreement, but he was always driven by love. And so, church, I want to encourage you today that you too would love without barriers. You can love someone without supporting their bias or choosing their way of sin or lifestyle. But you can care for them and extend, once again, the same grace and the same love that you would a believer. So I hope today that you would go before the Lord and you would be honest before him, saying, God, what barriers do I have in my heart, in my mind, in my view? How do I see people? Lord, let me see them how you see them. I love this one worship song that says, break my heart for what breaks yours. May that be our prayer today. God bless.